Jonis Josef in the house.
Hell to the yes, my guy.
Dude, thank you so much for being a guest.
I'm sorry for not being a guest earlier.
Listen, you never have to apologize to me, bro.
I feel like I have to, because I told you, like, I sent you a message. Like, I saw one episode you did, and I was like, you know what, that looks fun. And you talked really nice about me one time.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, I really want to join that podcast. I reached out to you. I was like, hey, man, I want to join your podcast. And you were like, okay, let's do it this Tuesday or whatever. And I never replied.
Yeah, but that's life, man. You're a busy guy.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, and I think like we kind of got in contact again last night because I saw you in a car with two assassins, two of my favorites. And with you, I was like, oh my God, that show looks fucking crazy.
It's really nice. Like I was with Espen Abrahamsen and Ahmed Mamov. I say it like that. Like, he's probably Ahmed Mamov for the regular guy.
That's how I say it. Mamau.
Ahmed Mamau. Or Ahmed Mamov, as we call it in Somali. And I had Gucci Gaute with me as well. So it was a really good show. I really enjoyed it. And you sent me a message. You're like, that's a killer lineup. And then I told the guy in the back, Espen, I was like, hey man, like Inia sent me on the message. You got his number? Yeah, just call him right away. Just call him. I'm ready to come. And this room is beautiful, man.
Thanks.
It's beautiful. You got like,
dude, some fucking healing crystals and shit.
What is this healing crystal, man?
Dude, I think that's an amethyst.
Are you like a old school hippie?
I'm pretty old school hippie, dude.
I'm like a new school hippie, you know?
What's the difference?
I feel like the new school hippie, we just jumped straight to DMT.
Yeah.
You guys had to like do some guitar in the meanwhile.
Dude, we had to fuck some chicks with hairy pussies. you guys didn't get the hairy pussy
We didn't
era.
get the hairy pussy, man.
Fucked up, bro. You went straight to the DMT and shaved
But
pussies.
you're Australian ex-hippie. Like, that's like a cliche. Can
it's
I
such
say
a cliche. I'm a cliche of myself.
You are.
Of course, dude. Yeah. I mean, I go surfing and I smoke weed and I fucking have crystals in my studio.
So what's your origin story?
Which one?
Like, how did you end up in Norway?
Oh, super easy.
Girl?
Yeah.
That's how you Australians end up like in new countries. Like,
that's it. That's how we spread, man.
Nobody, like, if you ask an Australian, like, what do you do here? It's because of work. It's never because of work. It's never because of like I fled a war. It's never because of politics. It's always because I met this girl, man.
Did we fled ugly chicks?
You fled ugly chicks and you came to the pretty ones.
That's not even true because women in Australia are beautiful.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for, I think like maybe so many. You're right. So many people that come from first world countries, they're there for love. It's either like fucking somebody that they fell in love with or somebody that they're attracted to that race.
100%.
Yeah.
And then, the thing about like Australians too is like I've traveled a lot, and Australia is like the only country in the world where like as soon as you are of age, you just get the fuck out of there.
It's weird, right?
It's really weird. Like everywhere else in the world, people like some go to military, some go to school, some go to, like some travel. But Australians, they like to travel, and specifically like to like Asian countries and countries where they can like get value for their money and just like travel. And they're like really professional travelers too.
Dude, backpacking's like our national sport.
It is, yeah?
Yeah, everybody when they turned 18 or 19, they're like, all right, I'm going to work, save up, and then see you in a year. See you in 2 years. Oh, coffee delivery.
Ooh, thank you.
So much,
so this is the reason why you're trapped in this country.
This is it. This is my Venus flytrap. This is my honey trap.
Venus flytrap.
But you travel a lot, you said.
I travel a lot.
And why do you travel? What's the deal there?
I travel a lot because as long as I'm in Norway, I always kind of work. Like if I'm not like actively working, like I'm thinking of work, and if I'm not thinking of work, I'm like calling someone and trying to like get a ball rolling so I can think of more work. Like I get so like obsessed with like work and projects and opportunities, and it's like such a weird like the life that in comedy life that we have. It's like you can do so much different things, you know, like you can write television one day, you can do radio, you can do a stand-up show, you can host a stand-up show, you can set up a podcast, you can invite people to an event, you can do so many things. And I feel like my head is always like, when I have so many opportunities, I just end up like being obsessed and just want to like explore everyone.
Okay, so you have an obsessive personality.
I have. It's more like ADHD. Yeah. I was like unmedicated for like quite some time.
Yeah, and then the only way that you can kind of switch off from that constant fucking TikTok of thoughts is to check out and go to another country.
Yeah, and especially like I did a grave mistake in the beginning where I traveled to countries where coffee, man. Yeah. But I traveled to countries where I did stand-up comedy.
Hold on, sorry, 1 second. Tuna, ska du dra nå? Yeah. Man, my girlfriend's gonna leave. Yeah, you're the one that's not on crutches.
Yeah.
Do you mind
lock the door?
Yeah. Do you mind following around and lock the door?
100%.
Thanks so much. Bye, Tuna. Bye. I love you. I'm in a healthy relationship. I think it's important to tell people that you love them, and that's a regular thing that I like to do. So this is a little bit of romantic advice whilst we wait for Jonis to get back and continue telling us about the never-ending train of thoughts that he has. And he can't just switch off. He has to leave the country. Wow.
I got news for you, buddy.
Yeah, what's the news, bro?
Your girlfriend's name is Tune.
That's what I said.
No, you say Tuna.
How do you say it? Tuna?
Yeah.
Fuck, I've been calling her a fish all this time. Oh, fuck, what a piece of shit.
Can you see the camera if I'm sitting correctly?
Yeah,
let's double check. So in case I'm not sitting correctly.
Oh, dude, you were sitting so fucking correctly.
I was?
You were nailing the sitting thing.
Thank you, man.
Holy shit. I'm a big traveler too, man. And the thing that when I was, how old was I? Must have been 21 or something. I went backpacking for almost 3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
Like on the road for 3 years?
On the road for 3. I settled in a couple of places. Like I settled in Canada for about 6 months, snowboarding.
Yeah.
And then I settled in the Caribbean for about 5 or 6 months as well.
Fucking, that must be awesome.
Dude, it was great because I went from snow and mountains and I went to... Oh shit! So unprofessional of me.
No, I like this vibe,
Christ.
Man. Is it tuna?
It's tuna.
Tell her it's tuna.
Okay. Tuna, you're on speakerphone, and I love you.
Hi, I love you, but now I'm locked out, and I just remembered maybe I'm gonna start a fire if I don't fix a thing with the coffee machine.
I could turn it off.
Okay, Jonis will turn it off, babe.
And her name is...
And your name is Tuna.
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 I put a cloth on top of the heater.
Okay, there's a cloth on top. Jonis, take the cloth off the heater and turn the heater off, please. Okay, yeah. All right.
Okay, I see him.
Okay.
On the mission.
Okay. All right. See ya. Bye-bye. I love you. All right, Jonis is on fire prevention. Oh my god, dude, this is so chaotic. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, that was she was right. Like,
yeah,
if she didn't come back, it would probably start burning.
I know, and we're probably like, fuck, something smells.
Is it weed? Is it weed?
Yeah, is it weed, bro? What the fuck? It is Gruneløkka.
I have this thing about the Caribbean, man. Like, I've traveled to like everywhere in the world I wanted to travel, except for 2 places.
Yeah,
and that's Japan, and it's the Caribbean. And the reason I have not went to the Caribbean is because I know I will love it so much.
Yeah,
I would probably not go anywhere else.
Yeah. So
before I explore Caribbean, I just want to see Nepal and Thailand and Kenya and all that shit. And after that, I would love to Where in Caribbean did you go?
Dude, I went to an island called Utila, which is off the coast of Honduras. It's like a small backpacking scuba diving island.
And Honduras is crazy as fuck, yeah?
Honduras is loco.
They murder people every hour there or something.
Yeah, man. When I was there, they don't have police, but they have islands justice. So every now and again, you'd get the fucking guys in the masks from the police force come onto the island, take out some bad guys, clean up, and then get out of there.
And did they take out bad guys?
I think so, bro. Because it's also like a jumping point for cocaine smuggling and stuff like that. So there was some shit on that island, bro.
Fucking hell.
Sketchy, you know what I mean? But it's not as bad as it is now. And it was an island that made all its money from tourism.
Yeah.
So it wasn't sketched out. but like the stuff that's happening now, bro, that's fucking loco. All these like dudes with tattoos on their faces and
MS-13. Fucking hell, that shit scares me as fuck, man.
Yeah, but I guess that's just what happens when people don't have any opportunities.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, let's just kill each other and run drugs.
But like, how broke were you though during those like 3 years?
I wasn't that broke, but I was really good at not spending cash. I was just really cash savvy. I was sleeping in hostels. I was like buying food for like $1 a day kind of thing like that. You know what I mean? And I actually had a job in Honduras. So
what do you do?
I was a dive master in training.
Dive?
Sounds sexy,
so
right?
You do jujitsu? Yeah, you were a dive master?
Keep going.
You traveled a lot? You do comedy?
You fuck chicks with hairy pussies.
You fuck chicks with hairy pussies?
Australian cliche.
Australian cliche? What more, dude? Come on, man.
That's all you need, bro. We got it locked in.
I talked to like some people about you. And I'm like, he has such a good vibe about him. Like you have this thing that I really enjoy that you don't see a lot in the Norwegian comedy scene, but you have like genuine appreciation for comedy.
100%.
Yeah, so when you see funny people, like I can sense it in you. Like you're not like, I love this guy because if I like him, he might like me. Like it's no like political thinking. It's just like he's funny as fuck.
Yeah,
I like that. And I am the same.
Yeah.
Like as long as you're funny, like you have my respect in some ways.
Yeah.
And there's some people like that, like struggle with that type of like appreciation because like in Norway, it feels like a lot of the appreciation, the respect you get is always like it comes with strings attached, you know. It's like, I supported you now, so I kind of expect your support when I do something, or it's such a like, but to have that like genuine like love for comedy and for like bits and for like what they do, that's really like I appreciate that.
Dude, I am such a fan of the art form, and I understand that like so many people do it in so many different ways that like I would never sometimes I don't even know how it works. Like I always say it feels like magic sometimes. And like people start, like here's a really good example. When you're doing comedy, I don't think you're doing comedy.
No.
I feel like you're talking to just me. Yeah. And it doesn't matter how many people are in the audience.
No.
I feel like, Jonis is like talking straight to me.
Yeah.
And I go, but there's 150 other people here. And I bet they all, it just, you know what I mean? It just feels effortless and it feels like really different. It's just really you.
Thank you. I've really worked on that too. Like my style has changed a lot. Like, I don't know, like if some people saw me like 8 years ago and they saw me again, like they might think it's the same guy, but like my approach to comedy has changed dramatically since I started.
Yeah, you've probably learned a lot.
I learned a lot, and after I learned, like first I learned a lot, and then after I learned a lot, I started to like learn more about myself, you know, and then after I learned more about myself, I'm like, okay, you kind of get like more familiar with your own strengths and your weaknesses, and you start like leading into your strengths. And
what did you learn about yourself?
What I learned about myself is like when I started comedy, I did not know like anything about comedy at all. Like I did not know about like the comedy business. I did not know like stand-up. I thought like stand-up was like joining a dart club. You know, like I thought it was like a really small club of really specially interested people that were doing stand-up comedy. But I was a fan of like Dave Chappelle and Cat Williams and Chris Tucker and all these African American comedians that I used to like enjoy on YouTube, and also like Louis C.K. And I just enjoy stand-up on YouTube.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it just as much as the average Joe. Yeah. You know, like I was not the one who was like, I saw comedy. I was like, one day I'm gonna become a comedian. I did not know what the fuck a comedian was. I thought it was like something, just a fun thing you did every once in a while. So when I first found out about stand-up comedy, it was like in a stand-up club here in Oslo, and there was this guy on stage that was like just bombing so bad. Like his set was terrible. He was talking about like rape and abortions and cancer, and he was just not flying at all. And then after he went off stage, he got an applause. And I was like, oh, is that the worst thing that happens? Like you get an applause? And in my head at the time, I was like, I want to do that. But I thought stand-up comedy was you just go up and you just talk. I did not know like you came prepared. I did not know like people wrote jokes. I didn't know even jokes were a story. I thought jokes was like knock knock, who's there? I thought that was a joke. I did not know like a funny conversation is a joke or a funny sentence is a joke. I just thought like you had to be like a joke to be a joke. So I did not know anything, dude. So when I started, like, when I went to the course from Reichstag Komikerklubb, like, I didn't want to do that course either. I was like, how can they teach me to be funny? Like, I don't even think they're funny. Like, are they going to teach me to be funny? Like, so it was, like, such a weird thing. But I did that course, and I learned a lot about the craft of comedy. And I'm really grateful I did that. Because I see, like, today it's, like, a lot of comedians, I think, that are coming up that kind of skip that craft part and just want to go straight to be a comedian, be a cool comedian part, you know. But when I learned about the craft, it was like, oh, this is a setup, this is a punchline, this is how you write, this is a joke, this is not a joke, this is a tagline, this is a segue, this is a like closer, and how to arrange your set and all that. So I just I was obsessed I wanted to be good with that, you know.
Yeah, with the scholarly part, with the academic side of it.
100%. I wanted to I used to sit down and write every word I said. And I used to practice. I used to practice the spacing. Like, here I want extra space. I used to practice that, and I was like doing that for the first 3 years of my career, I'd say.
Yeah.
And I've never had like so much success as a stand-up comedian as I had during those days. Like, I had like this one joke that I wrote like in this manner. And just like working on it, doing it, going home, working on it, doing it, just back and forth until the joke was kind of perfected. Yeah. And that joke was about like the holiday of Eid in Islam. And NRK put up a clip of me doing that bit, and it went like viral at Facebook at the time. And that was like 100% like a direct result of how I like approached the craft, like how I wrote and how. But after those 3 years, I was like, okay, I'm good at writing now. I'm good at this. What are my weaknesses? And I was like, my weaknesses are improvisation and crowd work and being alive on stage. Like, that's my big weakness. I can go up and I can perform my ass off and make the audience love me, but I struggle to be like comfortable and just like be myself on stage. And I'm like, and who am I on stage? I want to, like, I don't know, I'm 23, 24. Like, I don't know who I am as a person, you know? So I'm like, okay, who am I on stage? And who am I as a person? And who am I as a comedian? And then I started exploring like crowd work and improvisation and like riffing things on the spot. And I went from like writing at home to like writing on stage. And writing on stage is like, you explain comedy as magic. Yeah. And for me, that is the closest thing to magic in comedy there is, because I have a premise. I don't know. I really, from my heart, don't know where this premise will land.
So you don't have any kind of idea? You just go, okay, premise, let's go.
I might have an idea or two, but the idea is never like more than the next part, you know? But when I start, I'm going to the 10th part, the 11th part, and I have no idea where I'm going. So I have to like be in a good mood. I have to like enjoy the crowd. I have to enjoy the audience. And I've like learned about myself, like I expect a lot from my audience. If I don't like the audience, if I don't feel like they respect what I do, or if they don't like enjoy the craft of comedy, I just give them the old bits. Yeah. I don't want to like explore and have fun, because if you're really into comedy, it can be a beautiful thing to connect with me like that. But if you're not like in tune, I don't want to do it. So
it's a wavelength vibe check kind of thing.
I always do that. Like when I go on stage, in the beginning of my career, I was like a sucker to I came on stage like, how you guys doing? And they're like, way, and I'm like, okay, that's my level. So automatically I was there, you know. But if I came to a gig and I was like, hey, how you guys doing? They're like, yeah. My next word was like, hey. So yeah, so I just like I joined them, and I learned like I remember in year 4 or 5, I'm like, wait a second, I am the one in control here. I have the microphone.
Yeah.
So if they're here, I don't need to settle for hair. I can bring them up.
Yeah, you lead the charge.
I can lead the charge and bring them up to my level.
Yeah.
And bring them up to where I want them, you know?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So that took a while to figure out, huh? Yeah.
It takes a long while, man. And I feel like a little bit sorry for a lot of the comedians coming up right now. Because it's so many comedians that are working and so many comedians that are like competing for the mics.
Yep.
And a lot of the young ones and the new ones don't get to see the professional ones that much.
Yeah.
You know? So they don't have like I feel like people are trying to skip all the parts, all the boring parts of doing comedy.
Yeah.
To like straight to the cool part, you know?
I think you're right.
I feel like I'm right.
I think so.
And I've been watching a lot of comedy the last year, and I really enjoy some of the new comedians. I really enjoy them because they bring something really new. But I am also like a bit saddened because the comedy scene has changed a lot the last 5 years. And in a lot of aspects, it's changed to the worse.
Really?
I'd say so.
Wow. Because as somebody who started comedy in the last 5 years, I don't really have anything previously to compare it to. And for like us, it feels like, oh shit, there's all these spots popping off.
Yeah.
Like people are putting on shows left and right.
Yeah, but it's also like, it feels like a lot of, like I've seen some shows and I like it's a lot of exciting, and I don't want to be the one that bashes new comedians because I love them.
Yeah.
I love them from all my heart, but it's like a different way to approach comedy, I feel like, because when I started coming up, all we were talking was like, oh shit, that guy, he has a killer bit. Have you heard that bit? Have you heard that bit of Rasmus Wold? Have you heard that Ole So bit? Have you heard that Henrik Flatseth bit? Oh, that's a funny bit. We were talking about each other's bits. We were talking about each other's content, you know?
I understand.
But now when you talk about it, they're like, oh, that guy, he's such a cool comedian, man. Oh, he's such a good comedian, man.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but tell me about his content, you know? And so, like, I remember, like, when we came up, the content was kind of leading charge.
Yeah.
And then you were a comedian. But now it's like you are kind of like, it's also because of that, like, instantaneous thing where people want to climb quickly.
Yeah.
So people want to skip, like, the content creation part.
Wow.
That's my feeling, though.
Dude, that's a really interesting perspective because you came up in an era where the joke and the craft of it was the thing that you were like really focused on
and really measured on
but now it's more like, oh, he's cool, he's this, he's that, and it's not so much about that bit of this guy is like, wow.
And the result of that is I see some comedians that do unoriginal bits. And if they were like more content orientated, they would know, oh, that bit you did, someone did that bit 4 years ago. Oh, you know what? Oh, you think that's a cool bit? Sorry, we heard that bit. That guy did it 7 years ago. So it's like, and I've seen some comedians like do some of my bits too, and it's so weird because probably like some of them don't know about the bit. I suspect some do, but some probably don't even know about the bit. But if you don't know about the bit, it means like you don't study comedy. Like you don't watch the greats. You don't see what the best are doing, because I remember like when I came up, dude, I'm telling you, like I wrote a joke. And then I was like, oh, this looks like a good joke. And then instead of being happy, I was super nervous. I'm like, maybe this is someone else's bit. So I was like Googling that bit for 2 days. Just like, I was so afraid of like coming to the comedy club and doing a bit and people were like, oh, so he's doing CK now, you know? So, yeah, I feel like that content creation aspect of it. And it's also because I feel like I have been a bad influence myself, because I do like a lot of crowd work and improvisation. And I know that's inspired a lot of the young ones. And I also feel like TikTok and YouTube. And like when people like post their content on TikTok, they don't post their crafted joke. They don't
want to burn the bits.
No, they save the great bit to the show. But what they flood the internet market with is, oh, so what do you work with? Oh, heckler interrupted, blah blah blah. So now there's a generation that want to do stand-up comedy based on those instances.
Yeah.
Instead of the content.
I see what you mean. Man, you know, somebody who doesn't do that, who I really admire, is Espen Abrahamsen.
He's old school, man.
He is, because I look at him and he posts a new video and it's, that's polished bit. Polished bit. No fucking crowd work.
No, but he's old school, and that's why I think, like, if you've seen Espen, like, from all the new comedians, he's like one of the ones that the older comedians, like, get up here, dude. Come in here, dude. Yeah. Because he has, like, this discipline where it's like, I remember, like, when I fell in love with Espen, it was like, I heard about him. It's like, oh, is he good? It's like, yeah. It's like, oh, where is he today? Oh, he drove like 2 hours to do a 5-minute set, you know? And he never, like, asked for spots he was not ready for. Yeah. You know, like, you don't know how much, like, I used to run Hangover every Sunday. And so many comedians came, oh, can I perform? I'm like, listen, dude, like, if you were, like, good enough to perform, I would know. Like, it's not that I have not, like, seen your talent. It's that you need to develop more, because the ones I'm putting on has, like, been doing this correctly for 6 years, correctly for 8 years, 10 years. So I'm putting these people on because these are, like, trusted. You are a risk. You're still a risk, you know?
Yeah, I always had a healthy respect for spots like that. Like,
you never asked me, and I respect that too, because you wait for your turn in the right manner, and people don't want to be rude. Like, let's say you're doing a show where I want to have 3 headliners, you know, and I bring, like, Dag Sørås, and I bring Sigrid Bonde Tusvik, and I have one more spot. There are really, like, some comedians today coming up that has, like, barely 5 minutes that would shamelessly ask for that last spot. They were like, oh, I see there's an available spot between Dag Sørås and Sigrid. Can I have that spot? It's like, and they don't, like, understand the value of being ready. Yeah. Because, like, I told Espen about this too. Like, he's been working, like, really, really, really good. And he will see, and he's already seen, like, people that he came up with, like fly by, you know, like, just suddenly landing opportunities. And there might be, like, a part of you that's like, fuck, why don't I get that? And that's, like, super natural to get. But I'm trying to tell them, like, oh, you're one of the lucky ones, because they are getting burnt early, because they're getting, like, put in a position early that they can't hold. While you, when you get your shot and when you get your opportunity, you will be ready. Yeah. And that's, like, and that's the same goes for you, and same goes for, like, the people that work correctly, that are patient, and that don't, like, and knows the process and trusts the process, you know? Yeah.
Man, for me, Hangover was always, like, there. Like, Hangover for me and a lot of the friends and comedians that I kind of started with, Hangover was, like, the thing that you dreamt about, that you looked up to.
And that's cool to hear.
You know, and I was, like, not, like, I just always felt like I put Hangover and even Inia on this, like, next level. And I was like, okay, like, I don't want to take a shot there and fuck it up, and then they go, oh, you weren't ready, back 2 steps. And I just always wanted to make sure that, like, when I take my shot, that you're not going to regret it.
And that's why I think the one of the things that I did correctly on Hangover was that I said no to a lot of people. Like, a lot of people want to perform, and then I made this rule earlier where I was like, you don't ask to get booked. I ask if you want to perform. Like, because I don't do, like, I ask you if you want to perform, and if you haven't heard from me, I'll come. You'll hear from me, but don't ask me for the spot. I will ask you. So I just put that in people's head.
Dude, you just reminded me of something. You are doing a fucking Royal Rumble. You're doing a comedy battle royale. What? I saw that. I fucking
you gotta enjoy that one.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
dude. I saw it as like $100K prize money.
Yeah.
What the fuck, man?
I could tell you about that.
Tell me.
That was I enjoy that a lot because it's. I like I said, man, I really love stand-up, man, and I really love, like, new voices, and I really love, like, I love what's happening right now. Like, I've been, like, critical, like, today, where I'm talking about, like, people are not content orientated or whatever. But I really, 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 really love comedy. Really love the new voices. Really love people coming up, and I really want to back that. You know, that's what I want to do with Hangover, for instance. Like, we have someone's been really good, you guys don't know about them. Let's highlight them and put them in front of you guys. And then I saw like they did this thing on VGTV where they did Folkets deltager.
Yeah.
And that was really like, for me, it was a missed opportunity because they wanted to like find people all over the country that were wanted to be funny enough to get in. But I wanted it to be a show reel of all the young stand-ups coming up right now. I wanted to be like, oh, you guys don't know, we have a lot of stand-up comedians in Norway, and most of them got at least a good minute.
Oh, yeah.
Most of them got like, maybe if they don't got like killer 10, they got at least a killer minute.
Yeah.
If they did not have that, they would never not be on stage, you know? So I went to NRK, and I was like, listen, I have this pitch called Stand-Up Battle Royale, where we do a big stand-up competition, invite everybody in Norway, and they will compete like in 4 stages. And we will try to make 100 people become one. And that one will like get an award. And that award I like talked to NRK about was I wanted them to have like a half-hour special on NRK.
Yeah.
That was the prize. You know?
Yeah.
And then if that was the prize, I'd probably have all the biggest comedians in Norway also competing for that spot.
Yeah.
But NRK, they told me like, oh, we're interested, but let's talk about this in autumn. And for me, I have ADHD. I don't have like that patience.
No.
And I've been like through TV a lot. So it's like some productions, you have to have television. Like I can't do like a drama show without a television channel because it costs you at least 10 million, you know?
Yeah, big crew and everything.
Yes. But a stand-up competition, I can probably produce that and I can do it well. You know?
Okay, so you're going to do it independently.
I'm going to do it independently.
Wow.
And then I'm like, I need
huge.
a price. And then I was like, I can probably get like 100K somewhere. So I just put 100K on the table and I just made a poster with my girl. And then we posted it. And my accountant sent me a message. It was like, 100K? Really? Where are you going to get that from? But we sorted it out. And I just want to like have a competition. I want like every comedian like if someone bombs and they do it really shitty, I'm not even going to show it. Yeah. You know, I wanted to honor the good ones. I wanted to lift them. I wanted to like give him a proper production. I wanted to give him 4 angles and grade it properly and like give everybody like a good clip of themselves doing like their best minutes.
Yeah.
And then we'll like end up with a winner as well. And I also want to make a big ass belt for the winner.
Oh, dude. UFC style.
Yeah,
and wrestling style.
And just like, and like now I'm doing it independent. But if I get like a sponsor on next year, like just up the price, up the ante, up the price. And like how much would the prize money had to be before you have like Bård Tufte Johansen and fucking Dag Sørås competing for the money, you know?
Yeah. Wow. That sounds like a really good thing, man. Like it sounds like it's a great opportunity for comedians and you're doing it in the right way. Because with the Folkets deltager thing, like it just looked like they didn't want comedians. They wanted like a freak show.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's like, I understand because you're like tabloid, but at the same time, like, it's such a missed opportunity, man.
Yeah.
So I wanted to like do that and imagine also like having like 100 comedians doing their best 5 minutes and having that archived.
Yeah.
Having that archive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You want to know how stand-up was in 2023?
Yeah.
Well, here's a fucking archive shot from 4 angles and edited by an award-winning editor, you know?
Yeah. Are you going to do it do you have a venue in mind or?
I'm going to do like Nya Scene for the auditions and I'm going to do like the semi and the finals at the Cosmopolit.
Nice.
So that's the first time I'm seeing it too.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, so you got an announcement on the show.
You heard it here first. But that sounds like a fucking awesome thing. And people, like, how many? You get 100 people, 100 comics?
I want to have 100. So we have like a 60, 70 now. So I'm just going to push it a little bit more through the summer.
Yeah.
And I want to have like, and I'm just going to, like, when I have them all sorted, I'm going to go through it. And I know a lot of comedians that have not applied. I'm just going to call them and be like, listen, dude, like, do you not want 100K?
Yeah, get on it.
Come and do your best 5, dude.
Is that what it is to start off with? 5 minutes? Like how do you do the structure already?
I want to do the structure like everybody does a 5.
Yeah.
And we have a jury.
Yeah.
I've talked to Martin Lepperød. I've talked to Lars Barum.
Yeah.
Talked to Ole Sol. I want to talk to Sigrid Bonde Tusvik. I want to have her because she's a lot of the young cats don't know it, but she's
killer.
She's killer.
Stone cold killer.
Killer.
Dude, I saw her for the first time maybe like 12, 13 years ago. When I just came to Norway, they had this show in Grünerløkka, like Blå Mandag or something like that.
Blå Mandag, yeah.
That's it. My girlfriend knew Sigrid a little bit. She goes, "Do you want to go?" This must have been like 2008.
Yeah.
And then I went. I didn't really understand shit, but I could tell that like she was fucking killing it. And then I did a show with her in Stavanger, and backstage she was real nervous, you know. And I go, "Hey, you know, what are you doing?" She goes, "Oh, this is all new, 20 new minutes." And I go, "Oh shit." That's why she was really focused on everything. We're just joking around backstage, and she's like studying the jokes. And then I went, and then she headlined, and then I watched her set, and it was just murder.
I saw her in Bergen. The first time I did Bergen in my life, it was 2015.
Yeah.
And she had like blew up with the podcast. She did Tusvik and Tønne.
Yeah.
And we did a show at the Riks back then. It was not Ole Bulle, but it was Riks. And they upgraded from they had like a stage in the basement. So they upgraded to the main stage. Big ass theater. 400 people.
Yeah.
And she packed it because she was headlining the show.
Yeah.
And she packed. And she was, at the time, she could probably do like big venues, but she's like always been a club comedian by heart. She's always like appreciated the stand-up clubs. So like she like, of course came and headlined that spot. And she headlined that spot, and I was there, and that was my first time seeing her, first time like performing outside of Oslo, and I was quite nervous. And I'm like, I'm nervous. And she's like, I'm nervous too. Yeah. She's like, I always get nervous. I'm like, you do? Like, yeah, you've been doing it for quite some time. Yeah, I always get nervous. I'm like, do you also need to like take a shit when you're nervous? She's like, yeah. It's normal. I'm like, and I haven't eaten today. And she's like, yeah, that's the weird part. Like, if you're not like if you have no food in your stomach, your body will produce shit because you're nervous. Wow. And she just made some shit up. Yeah. And we're just laughing about that. And I went up on stage and I killed it. I remember I just did a killer set. Went off. I'm like, whoo, how are you going to follow up on that, like that set? And she went up and she talked about the conversation I had with her for like 5 minutes and nailed it. Wow. And then she went into like 5 more improvised minutes about like Bergen. Yeah. And then she went into like 15 killer minutes. And I'm like, oh my God, it's levels to this shit.
Levels to the game.
It's levels to this game. And I appreciated that when I saw that. I'm like, oh, because I got cocky a lot of times. And I had to see some really good comedians and also like look at them and just like know like, oof. That's the level above me right now. Yeah.
It's good to recognize that.
It's really healthy, man.
I think so. And it's inspiring. Imagine if you were like, oh, shit, I'm the best. I did it. This is it. Yeah. You would not have anything to achieve.
But it's also like nice to do the opposite too. Yeah. Like I remember seeing like Chris Rock at Spectrum. Yeah. I love Chris Rock. But I remember like an hour and a half into the show, I'm like watching my time. Like, you done? You done soon? Yeah. I remember like seeing Bill Burr working out material in Los Angeles. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I did a better set yesterday. Yeah. And that's also important because it doesn't mean like you're better than Chris Rock and Bill Burr. But it means like they are not like gods. No. They are doing things that you can also do if you put like proper work into it.
That's really inspiring too. Because then you understand you don't have to. The thing that I'm understanding, like as I'm going on this comedy journey, is that as comedians, we're all just people writing jokes. Yeah. And it's like some people have a lot of different experience that really helps with that process. Yeah. But at the end of the day, everybody's going to sit down with a blank page and everybody's going to write something and everybody's going to perform it. Yeah. And maybe you see something that somebody's done 100 times, but at a certain point, you're going to see something that somebody's done for the first time. Yeah. And you know what I mean? Like, it's not always like you might do your set that you've been killing with for a year and they do their set that they've just done for the first time. And you go, I did so much better than them. Yeah, you did, but that's all new shit.
That's what I also like noticed a lot. That's one of the things that you also learn a lot when you're trying to grow as a comedian. Yeah, because you have this need to murder, you know, like you have this
bloodlust.
Yeah, but you have like I remember like being backstage And I remember seeing like a comedian for me going up, like he's doing well, and the audience are laughing. I'm like, oh, you guys laughing now?
Yeah.
Are you guys laughing now? Fucking hell, I can't wait till you see me. Yeah. Like I was so full of confidence.
Yeah.
And I needed that, you know, like I really needed that confidence. But I was going to say something else. Like, what were you saying? You were saying something right before this.
I was talking maybe about like how everybody has to start
on
a clean piece of paper.
And I had this need to kill, a need to murder. Like every set I did, like, okay, I know I have 15 minutes. And I know if I do those 15 minutes, I will kill. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, now I have to try something different, you know?
Yeah.
And if you try something different once, it will not work as well. And you will not like murder as much. But if you're not comfortable with that, you go straight back to the old material, you know, because not old, but straight back to the old style.
Safe.
Yeah, safe, because you're like, oh, I kill it when I do this, but when I do this, it does not work as it should work.
Yeah.
But when I came 6 years in, I had this confidence where I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't need to kill. And now I want to become better, you know?
Yeah.
So, okay, let's say I do a set, and that set was like 6 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
That was better for me than a 10 out of 10 set.
That you've done 100 times.
Yeah, because I do a 10 out of 10 set. Okay, I know I can murder. I know I can kill. I know I have jokes that I can deliver. Like, I know, like, if you put me up in front of an audience, and you're like, okay, you do 50 minutes of your best material, I guarantee you they will laugh.
Yeah.
You know? But at the same time, I want to explore my style. Okay, how am I as a stage writer? You know? How am I when I talk about this? How am I when my energy is like lower? How am I when I speak like this or like this? Or maybe I should try character. Like so many things you can try, but so many people like they murder like in a certain way early, and they stick to that. And if you like lose your like love for experimenting and love for developing and becoming better,
you get addicted to being a serial killer. And not a fucking explorer.
And that's I really feel like that's a big trap when you see like, especially when you see people like from, you know, when you see those old cats from Latter, you know, when you see them and you're like, it feels so outdated. And it feels like, are you doing, what is this? Like, this is, women be like this, and they found a thing back in the days, and they just stuck with it. And they are like in a predicament right now where they cannot experiment because every job they have is a lot of money, you know? So they do corporate gig. They can't experiment on a corporate gig. And they perform just at Latter. And you can change your style up when you have like 1 week in a month in Latter, you know? So you lose your opportunity to experiment. And that's what we're talking about early on today as well. Like when people blow up early. And they get like put in a position early where they have to like perform, and where like network comes to them and like, hey, we want to work with you. And they have like done comedy for a year. They end up like, they cannot develop as much because they have like expectations when people see them. And they have to deliver certain things. Suddenly they are headlining. A year and a half in, they should not be headlining. And then it's like the pressure is already there and they cannot bump, you know?
So what's the solution?
The solution is to be patient, man. The solution is to like, and if you get like an opportunity early on, the solution is to keep going up. Like I tell this to everybody who blows up, and it's like, especially from stand-up, like some people blow up from TikTok and Instagram. That's not my world, but if people blow up from stand-up comedy, it's like, don't stop doing it. Like, don't stop doing the shit gigs. Don't stop doing the fucking stand-up Lincoln. Don't stop doing those weird-ass places. Don't stop traveling. Don't stop. Because if you did these things, like you did those shit gigs, you did the good gigs, you did this, like you traveled, and then you got presented with opportunities. If you stop doing this and just like start doing your opportunities, you stop generating new opportunities. You have to keep doing what generated this opportunity, and then as long as you keep doing this, the opportunity will come back and we come back and we come back, and you can keep experimenting.
Man, you know what you said kind of really made me think about something, because I used to think that Lincoln was this like really shit stage, and then I changed my opinion to thinking it's like the most important stage in Norway.
For me, it's actually like unironically, it's one of the most important stages in Norway.
Right.
And the reason I say that is because of my particular situation. I'm not saying it is that's one of the important, but I live close by. You know? So for me, it was like, I remember one day I was just walking home and I just stopped. I was like, what the fuck is stand up in the street? And it's free. And I saw like 6 people in the audience, like look like hostages, you know? So I was like, what the fuck is this? And I went in, I'm like, can I do a spot? Yeah, you're next up. And I'm like, hell yeah. And I just did 5 minutes to those 6 hostages. Yeah. And that's how it looks like.
Hostages.
They are. Because they can't even leave. Because you're standing just by the door.
You're blocking the door.
You're blocking the door. Like physically blocking the door. And then I'm like, and I did that spot. And I went out. I'm like, do you guys do this every Thursday? Like, yeah, we do this every Thursday. I'm like, nice. And I went back home. And I was chilling home. And I remember like 2 weeks later, I'm just sitting home on a Thursday. I'm like, and I remember like, nah, what the fuck? Why am I sitting home with my girlfriend? Why am I watching like this? This is not my life. I'm not like a fucking accountant. You know, I don't ride my bike to work. I am a comedian. It's a fucking Thursday. I need a spot. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I got that Lincolnshire place. And I went down and they have this thing that I really enjoy where, because I've been performed a lot and I don't want to be cocky. I'm like, hey, man. But I want to have I hope I paid enough dues to be able to come in and be like, can I do 5? Yeah. And they'd be like, yes. Because that was always a dream of mine. Yeah. Coming up, I come into a club and just getting 5 minutes whenever I wanted to. So I did that at Lincoln. I remember I also like I was at Inia, just chilling, and I was talking with like Jonas Bergland. Yeah. Jonas Bergland. And then I just like, it's a Thursday. I'm like, hey man, come. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, just come. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm going to show you something. And I just took him out. He's like, wait, just come. And we just went down. I'm like, come. And he's like, what the fuck? I'm like, come in here. And went into the stand-up Lincoln. There's a show going on. And I think you were there.
I remember that night.
Yeah?
Yeah. I was there.
And I just told MC, I'm like, hey, I brought Jonas Bergland. I want to do 5. You want to do 5? Yeah. Hey, you guys are next up. And he's like, what the fuck, dude? I just wanted to have a beer with you. Like, I don't want to. I'm like, you're a comedian, dude. Like, this is what we do. This is what we do, you know?
Oh, man, I remember that night. I remember exactly that night because I was supposed to go up. You came in and
bumped you.
Yeah, you bumped me, but I was like, oh shit, that's cool. I got all night, and I think you guys had another spot.
Yeah.
Later on, and then I think Marco was hosting, and he was supposed to put you up, and then Jonas up, and then he put you up, and then he put me up, and then he put Jonas up, and I went there to work on some terrible new material, some shit about why parrots are like the worst pets for pirates because they're the only bird that can tell people where the treasure is, and it was like such a dumb joke, and I felt like such an idiot doing that joke in front of you guys.
That's such a shit. You know what? Props to you, dude. But seriously, man, props to you. Just be like, you know what, I can't do my best material now, but I had a plan with this gig and I'm sticking to it.
I was like, oh man, this is okay. And I hadn't worked anything out. And it was like, I'm going to try writing on stage about pirates and parrots. Yeah. And then I went with it. Holy shit.
That's respect, dude.
Yeah, man, listen, like there's so many people that look up to you and that look up to Jonas and look up to comedians that we admire. And then when those people are in the audience, it does something to us. Yeah. We're like, oh shit.
I understand. I still have that, dude.
Yeah,
I still have that, and I remember like I did a show back in 2017. It was at Ståprisen.
Okay.
And Ståprisen is like you know what Ståprisen is?
Yep.
Yeah. So I was there, and then Johnny asked me if I could perform like during the show sometime. And that was like an exciting thing for me because it was a lot of people from the comedy scene. Like all the big comedians were there and it was audience there, but it was all the big comedians were there. And I'm like, I've been killing it now for like 3 years. It's time to show them.
Yeah.
Time to show them. Let's go, baby. and I went on stage and then I'm like, hey, hello, how you guys doing? And then I said like something. I messed up a sentence like quite early, and then the comedians started to laugh, you know, because that's what comedians do. Like if you fuck up something or you bob or you do, that's really entertaining for us, So I fucked the sentence up, and then the comedians in the back started to laugh, and then I did like a joke that was how I was supposed to do the joke, and then the audience in the front laughed. So the audience laughed when I did my jokes well, and the comedians laughed when I kind of fucked up my set.
Yeah.
And as stupid as I was, I decided at that moment that I don't give a fuck about the audience. I want the comedians to enjoy this. So I started like to fuck my sentences up on purpose.
Shit.
And what happened is when you lose the audience, you also kind of lose, because the comedians don't care, man, dude. They want to talk to each other. They don't care about you. They watch a little bit, nice bit, nice, but they don't care that much unless they're like obsessed with it. And I remember like doing probably the worst set of my life at the time.
Yeah.
And during that, I did the worst set of my life at the time. And I remember when it going off, and I like made a promise to myself where I'm like, I will never ever again not like, because if I kill for the audience, the comedians will respect that.
Yeah. You played to the comedians, not the audience.
Yes, and I learned a lot from that, and I never do that again. Like I can do some, like I did this thing where I'm like, I was doing some shows now in the summer. I did the one with Martin Lepperød and Jonas Josef, and I told them, because we were doing like a rowdy show with some drunk people, I'm like, I'm gonna hit them with the classics, And then Inia, who's been like doing this for like 20 years longer than me, was like, classics, what the how could you call your own bits classics? And he's just making fun of me, So I went on stage, and then I'm like having fun with the audience, and then I looked at Inia, I looked at the audience, I'm like, are you guys ready for the classics? And the audience, and Inia saw him laugh, and so I was like, oh, that was a joke for you, but I'm still playing for the audience now. Yeah. Like I'm not doing this for Inia, but I'm giving Inia like a line. Like I wanna give you this one so you can laugh from the conversation we had, and we have our own thing. But I will deliver the classics. I will do it, and I will perform this bit.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot from that gig from Ståprisen.
Yeah, I feel like everybody always says this, but like you learn the best lessons when you fuck up.
You do.
Right?
You do.
And that's another cool thing that happened between you and me is I did a set at Revolver, and I ate shit, and I don't think you saw it, but you were backstage, and you go, hey, how was it? And I go, oh man, I think I bombed. And this might have been like one of the first or second times I spoke to you ever. And the first thing you did, you shook my hand, and then you told me a story about when you bombed. And I was like, oh, fuck it. I can't remember. It was a story about you bombing in the rain, maybe at like something too. So I can't remember.
I bombed a lot, dude.
Yeah. But I feel like when you hear somebody who's deeper in the game share their pain and go, oh, I bombed a lot. You go, oh, yeah, I guess that's just what happens, right?
Yeah. And I think the worst thing, the thing that is the least interesting for me when I see young comedians and new comedians coming up, the thing that like I am really interested with people that bomb and do like really weird fucked up shit that does not work, and people that have that kill and do something uniquely beautiful. What I am not fond of is just normal, because that tells me like you have seen a lot of comedy, but you're not taking risks. So when you bomb, for instance, in Revolver, I have much more respect for that.
Because you're swinging. You're fucking swinging.
You're swinging for it. Yeah. And you're trying something, and you learned something, and you're probably going home, and you're a little bit better tomorrow than you were today. Yeah. And some people just bomb again and again and again, and are like, I'd say like retarded. Like they don't get like, oh, but if all you do is bomb, maybe this is not for you. Like we gotta have that honest conversation too. But if you are like swinging for it and you're bombing and you're trying things and you're doing well sometimes and you're bombing sometimes, and that's such a real better process to have. And I remember like when I was coming up, we had like two fractions in comedy. We had like the stand-ups, the traditional stand-ups. I was like in that like particular demographic. Yeah. And then you had like the other one that were like, we had a lot of comedians that came from Twitter. Like
really?
They were Twitter, like they were like really funny on Twitter, and Twitter was popular. Vegard Tryggeseid, for instance. Yeah. He was like one of the greatest one from that like Twitter generation.
Comedian. Yeah.
But I remember like all these Twitter comedians, they wrote like so brilliant things on Twitter. And they wrote like probably like smarter things that a lot of the stand-ups wrote. But the stand-ups had been performing on stages so much, so they were like more comfortable on stages.
Yeah.
So that you had like this fraction that were like, we are like weird, and we're like, you call it like alt comedy.
Yeah.
You know? And they started like to do comedy in their like, they had like own spots. They did not like do the other spots, but they did like their own like shows where it was kind of like the same audiences and the same group of people that enjoyed this particular type of comedy. They gathered like in, for instance, in Seoul, which was a comedy club in Greenland. So I remember like seeing them, and I was enraged when I saw them the first time. I really did not like it. Like I've grown to love some of them, but I remember I did not like it at all, and I could not like put my finger on why. I was like, why do I not like this? Like it's so hard to tell. But I found out why I did not like it, and the reason I did not liked it because was when I do comedy, I'm always vulnerable. Like I do a joke, and if that joke does not work, I am a shit comedian, you know? But they had this style that was like, they were like reading some funny things, and if you weren't laughing, that was like the plan, you know? Like, you know, oh, you're not supposed to laugh, you know? Like, but if you laughed, you get it, you know? Like, so it was like this thing where there was no accountability for like a shit gig, and it felt so bad because I'm like stretching out my neck every gig, and then you see someone like, I don't care if you like it or not, you know? I don't care if you laugh, you know? And that was so infuriating for me because I really cared about them laughing, you know? So that was like my big pet peeve with that type of I don't know how I ended up in this trajectory.
I don't know, but did that kind of style of comedy die out?
No,
I mean, is it still around?
It developed. Yeah, I'd say it became better. Like, have you seen Vegard Tryggeseid?
Yep.
Yeah, because what happened was he went from that, but he just was relentless on stage too. So he like found his like stage persona. Yeah. And then you have like this, like I'd say from the new comedians that are coming up now, like the ones that would like do well in those type of rooms. Gucci Gaute. He would do well in that room. Yeah. Snorre would probably do well in that room. And then you would have like people like Espen. They would not do well in that room. Nah. I remember like I had this thing where I was, this is my first bomb.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
I had like, it was my third show. I did not know anything about the comedy stage. I was talking to like Joachim Skage, who runs RTK. And I was like, hey man, I really want to do more comedy, man. And do you know where I can do more comedy? And he's like, yeah, it's a lot of clubs. I'm like, where are the clubs? I've been trying to Google it. All this. Oh, he's like, oh, that guy runs a club. And he pointed his finger at Francisco Briceno. And he had like this long hair back in the time. Beautiful. And he had his shirt on. I'm like, this guy runs comedy. Like, this guy runs shit, you know? So I went to him. I'm like, hey, Francisco. And like, hey, my name is Jonis. I'm a stockbroker, but I'm a comedian now. And I want to do more comedy. I heard you had a club. Like, what would it take for me to get an opportunity to perform at your club? It's like, oh, you want to go up on Wednesday? so it was that easy. So I was like, so I went to that club, and that club had me, and it was like Amir Asgharnejad and Francisco, Odin Eriksson, and Jim Swan.
I love Jim Swan.
Yeah, they had like this group called Laugh.
Yeah, so was that in Grönland?
It was in Grönland, but it was all over. So it was Amir, Odin, Francisco, and Jim. So they were like this group. And they like arranged this thing called Laugh. And then they had booked, like for this show, it was me. I remember Dag Sørås was there. And they had Vegard Tryggeseid. And they had other, but that's the three I remember. Because what happened was I feel so shit. I was nervous, you know? So I was like, I'm so fucking nervous. I'm tired of being nervous because every time I perform 2 times at a time. I feel so nervous that it fucks my flow up. I felt like. So I'm like, I need to get it down. So I took another beer, and I'm like, I'm still nervous. And I smoked a joint on the balcony of that venue. And I'm like, okay, I'm not nervous anymore. And then like, ladies and gentlemen, the next comedian is, before me, it was Vegard Tryggeseid.
Okay.
And he did this joke where he was like, and he just looked at his notes and he just mumbled like, carefully, it's like, if there's one thing the movie Perfect Storm taught us, is that the ocean gives and the ocean takes. And the room just went wild.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get it, you know? And then after him, they were like, and then there was like, and before Vegard, it was Dag Sørås. I forget.
Yeah.
And Dag Sørås kind of bombed, but he did like okay.
Yeah.
But then Vegard came on and he was murdering with these weird bits. And I was like, what is this? I came from a stand-up club and Dog is killing it, but they're not laughing and they're laughing at this. So I was like, I gotta be weird, you know?
Wow.
So I went on stage and I'm high and drunk and I'm like, hello everybody, my name is Ørjan. Nobody laughs. And in my head I'm like, this joke was supposed to be a killer joke. And then I did the shittiest joke of all time. All time. I wrote this joke. And I'm like, hey guys, this is so shit. This is so shit. This is like, your worst joke is like, I want to hear, you can't like, okay, listen. I said, yeah, so I just moved to Oslo and I live in this collective with other people. And when you move into a collective with other people, you kind of get like, your hygiene gets exposed, you know, like everybody does things differently, you know. So it's such a weird thing to like see how other people do things and for them to see how you do things, you know. Like I have this bad habit when I go to the shower, I always have like, I enjoy my shower, you know. I enjoy myself in the shower, you know, and I really enjoy myself. So I remember one day I was in the shower, I'm enjoying myself, I came out of the shower, and then my friend went to the bathroom right after me, and then he went in, and then he came out, and then he's like, dude, why is there shit all over the shower?
Okay. That was it.
That was it. That was it,
Oh
dude.
my God.
That was it, dude.
Oh man. And
That,
what was it? Just
the
crickets,
joke was
silence?
the silence was like, what the fuck is this?
What's
And
wrong
I
with
looked
this
at the
guy?
audience and I looked at the time. I'm like, there's 5 minutes left.
Oh,
And I
that's the
just looked
worst.
at the audience. I looked at the MC. I looked at the audience again. I'm like, guys, I'm not having the right day today. I'm off. Thank you. And just went off stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pull the ejector seat.
Yeah.
Get out of there.
The joke, you know, you understood what I tried to do with that joke?
Yeah.
The twist.
Yeah.
The twist.
We've been shitting in the toilet.
Instead
in
of
the shower.
masturbating.
Yeah. No.
Such a shit joke, yeah.
Did you like ever think I
wrote it.
can save this joke
No,
if I
no,
just
no, I know.
spend time working on it for the next 6 months?
I in my head when I wrote the joke, I'm like, oh, this is a killer.
Yeah.
And then I did a joke, and I'm like, I immediately knew like, I'm never revisiting you again, pal.
Yeah, see you later.
I rather like read a part of the Bible.
Yeah.
Instead of
like a really boring part.
Yeah,
So
the
where-
really boring.
Where it's
part.
like someone beget this person, who begot that person, who begot this person, who. Yeah.
I have to run to the bathroom real quick. Can I do it?
Yeah, go for it, man.
Is it
There's
here?
one just right there.
Back, baby.
Back. Man, so you're not going anywhere for the summer then? You're
Summer?
Like, yeah, you're just chilling here.
No, I am. I feel like Norway is so shit. Like all.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, don't worry about it. I
That thing
fixed it.
kind of, yeah.
But I feel like Norway is so shit. Like during the winters.
Okay.
So I try to like stay as much in the summers as possible.
Yeah, that's
But
the move.
But I'm traveling to do some comedy though.
Yeah.
I do have a gig in Copenhagen.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
When?
I'm going there in September.
Oh, wow.
I'm bringing Sivert as a warm up, so he's going to perform in English.
Yeah, cool.
You know he's from. He like lived in Australia, right?
Yeah, I had him on as a podcast.
He
guest.
told you about it?
Yeah, we talked about it. He was
Yeah.
there for like 5 years or something.
Yeah, he got a master's in
I would never
journalism.
think Sivert has
No,
a fucking master's in anything.
I even sent him with a camera and a microphone to do some interviews during Pride.
Yeah. How did it turn out?
He does not look like a guy who has a master's in journalistics, man.
No, he doesn't.
No.
What made you choose Sivert to go with you?
I enjoy his company. Like
Yeah.
I have this thing where when I feel like someone has something, I used to like be like less, But when I feel like people have something, and I enjoy their company, and they're like really easy to like. Some people like starts demanding way too much to her. Like I remember like having this young guy back in the days that I took around sometimes, and he started like asking for like, oh, how much money is this gig, or oh, how much do I get for this gig? And it's like, oh, so you like considering it. If the money is enough.
Yeah.
And I did not want that because I feel like if you join me, like I did it when I take like young newcomers with me. I don't want to call them young because Galvan was older than me, for instance. But I've done this for like, I have 8 stripes here.
Oh shit.
I'm gonna have my 9th now, so I spend every year with comedy.
That's crazy.
And I'm gonna so I have a bit of experience, and I'm a really nerd.
Yeah.
So when I see like young, comedians in the beginning of their career, I just tell them everything I know. Just like, and they don't need to like do what I do and do it in my city. I just tell them what I've learned.
Yeah.
And especially things from the business.
Yeah.
And especially how to do it but it's so many things you have to learn by yourself. So, but I just try to like teach as much as I can. Just like, okay, what would I enjoy to know when I came up, you know?
Yeah, that's good.
And I just do that a lot. So I like to have some projects every now and then, you know?
Yeah.
Just like, okay, let me see how I want to take you for a couple of weeks and just like a couple of months and just give you good spots, take you around, tell you what I know, fix you cool things. And if cool things happen, you might be appreciative, and if it does not happen, well, we had fun and we had a good time.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
I really loved that you put Sivert on at Over Oslo.
Yeah.
You know, because I think it was a secret lineup. I'm not sure whether you announced it.
It was secret lineup, but yeah.
And then when I saw it, I go, oh, Sivert, nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he has this thing that I enjoy, which is if you talk to him. Like he has this thing where you talk to him, he's hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
Like off stage, he's one of the funniest persons I've ever met.
Yeah. He never stops.
He never stops being. You know what happened yesterday?
No, what happened?
Fucking idiot, dude. Like, but he's such a fucking idiot.
That's the dumbest shit.
I love him, such a fucking idiot. Like, I like he told me he was broke, so I'm like, okay, I got some gigs for you ready. It's like, oh, gigs, and I paid him like so much for the gig. Like, I paid him like $1,000 a minute.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
That's a
good money.
Killer rate, especially when you need the money, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I got a gig for you. It's like, yeah, I'll pick you up on Wednesday. Blah 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 blah. And it's like, okay. And then he did it the day before. He decided to like meet up with his cousin and just do like a drug binge till 8 in the morning. So we are like traveling and we're meeting at the office at 1. So it's me and Ahmed and Espen. So we're like, where's Sivert, you know? And we're trying to call him. And 2 weeks prior to this, we were like, we have like I produced his podcast.
Yeah.
And then we had like a message. Someone's like, have anybody heard from Sivert? And we're like, what do you mean? It's like, his mother has not heard from him in 2 days.
Oh,
and we were like, fuck. When was the last time anybody heard? I met him 2 days ago. We did some drugs. What? No. And I'm like, he's probably rotting in his apartment right now. And Kevin, you know, he brought like a fucking iron to like, because he's from like the northern parts of Norway. So he's lost a lot of friends to suicide, you know?
Yeah.
So he knows what to do. Like just go in there and break up the door, confirm he's dead, and call the ambulance.
Holy shit.
So we were like 100% sure he was dead by that because nobody was getting. Turns out this guy lost his phone in a crack.
Oh, that fucking.
He lost a phone in a crack, and then he was not like able to get his phone out of the crack, so he just like let it be and just decided to just stay inside and forgot he had like an appointment with his parents and his sister. So everybody thought he was dead, you know?
Yeah, what an idiot.
Yeah, and then he came out, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm such an idiot. I'm retarded. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm like, we love you, dude. So that was the first time. So yesterday, we're leaving. I'm like, had anybody heard from him? It's like, on Facebook, last seen 15 hours ago.
Yeah.
All his phones are shut. Nobody's heard from him. And I'm like, he's probably dead again. But I'm like, this time, don't rush. Like, if it's dead, let it smell.
Yeah.
Let it smell.
Let the corpse rot for a while.
Let it rot a little bit. And then we're like jumping in the car. We're waiting for him 2 hours. We hop in the car, and then we're like, fuck it, we just drive. And then when we're like 30 minutes away from the destination, which takes like 2 hours to drive to, we got a call, Sievert. It's like, hey, man, have you guys left? It's like, yeah, the show is in an hour. It's like, oh, fuck, yeah. Can I take a train? We're like, no. We're like, what happened? Oh, he's like, oh, sorry, man. I saw my cousin yesterday. We did a binge, and I went home, and I put my phone on airplane mode.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you don't have work right now. Like, you have no job.
You just lost money.
The only gig you had was a stand-up gig in the evening on a Wednesday where you get picked up, dropped off, picked up, and dropped off. And you fucking overslept. That's crazy.
What a moron.
And he's like, I know, man. I'm so retarded, man.
Yeah.
But I ended up paying him for that gig too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're such a nice guy, man.
No, but he's gonna work for that money.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's not charity.
I hope he knows how to twerk, you know?
Yeah, he owes you.
Yeah.
Shit, so he was supposed to be on the gig last night when you drove down with Ahmed and Espen.
Yeah. But that's the reason why I have secret lineups, you know?
Yeah.
Because I book so many retards and so many like unpredictable dudes.
Yeah.
But those are always the funniest dudes.
The person that's like the most structured isn't going to go off the rails comedically.
No, but he's going to do those 20.
Good.
And it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Man, another thing that like I'm really interested in what you're doing is with Juicy.
Yeah.
Because it's like all of a sudden like Espen and Talak and Sievert and Mayonnaise Mafia and Snurra, and you've got like this whole podcast network, and I know you're probably doing more stuff with that as well. And I'm like, oh shit, that's fucking awesome.
I worked a lot like the last 3 years. I earned some money.
Yeah.
I bought myself an apartment, but I don't like sitting on money.
No.
Like a lot of people are content with like, oh, I have money in my bank account.
Boring.
I can't. Like I have 60,000. I can buy that expensive thing I always wanted.
Yeah.
Or I have that. Or I always see money as a thing that has to be like spent.
Yeah.
That's I came from a broke home, you know.
Yeah.
So that's the mentality you kind of develop.
Yeah.
So when I started like making money, I ended up like making money contractually. So I had like a year, like let's say I make 1.x million.
1.9, bro.
No,
let's go big.
No, but I can do 1.9 if I like. I don't have that money thing, that Norwegian. No, but I'm embarrassed to talk about money.
Okay.
Like I have no. I don't know why people struggle with that, but I have like this TV thing where I get like a little bit over a million, and then you have to do like you do stand-up comedy as well, and you generate other things. And I was like overproductive. Like I did like I had my own show that I was like traveling around with. I did a radio show every week with Martin and Henrik.
Yeah, awesome show.
Thank you.
Hilarious. I love the clips.
Thank you, my friend.
I fucking love it.
Thank you.
Dinger?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have that show, and while I was doing that show, I was like doing other things. I generated some money, but my expenses are not that high because I pay my house, I pay for my car, and I pay my parents' loan.
Yeah.
And I like have some expenses here and there, but it's basically controlled, you know?
Yeah.
So I wanted to do something else with the rest of my money. So I wanted to I always wanted to have like this production. I wanted to have like this clubhouse of comedians, you know?
Yeah.
I wanted to have a place where people can meet where like, oh, you want to do something here? Oh, you want to do a sketch? Here's cameras. Here's an editor, and here's a sound guy. Go ahead, do your sketch. Oh, you want to do a podcast? Oh, here's a podcast studio. Go in there, record your podcast. Oh, you wanna do this? Oh, we can do this. I just wanted to have the facility to do that. So we lucked out. We've got a great like space above Inia. And when we got that space, Kevin Kildal, he's such a handy dude too, you know. So he helped me to like build the place. So he's like kind of involved in that, and he was more like just because usually when you do like a business, you have to have like a rundown plan. You know, you have to have
a strengths and weakness analysis.
Yes, and P&E, and you have to know where to get your money, and you have to hire people and have expenses. And because you have expenses, you have to do certain things every month.
Yeah,
I did not want to do that, so I wanted to like, okay, how can I take all the risk from my end and just produce a lot of things? And if anything goes well, that'd be the main source of income.
Oh, so you're just kind of like throwing a lot out and seeing what sticks.
Yes, that's the 100% what I'm doing. Like I just do create a studio. We have not generated $1 yet.
No,
not $1. Maybe.
No,
but I spent like over $1 million.
Already?
Yeah.
But up on the
juicy, on payments to people, on like things, on like.
Wow, so you're like on the balance sheet, you're $1 million minus.
Oh, it's so red, dude.
Wow.
But at the same time, I have no doubts it's going to be okay, because as long as I keep doing that, like let's say, like I remember like when I first did it, I put in money and I got up the studio with Majones-mafiaen with Tallak and Sivert and Sebbe.
Yeah.
And I did Backflip with Snorre, and I did Abrahamsen show with Espen Abrahamsen.
Yeah.
Produced all those, and I left for travel because I was burnt out. But while I was traveling, like I got a weekly episode of all these shows that I was like listening to and enjoying the fuck out of.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, this shit exists because of my investments.
Yeah.
This shit exists because of my relationship with these guys. This shit exists because I exist and because they exist.
Yeah.
You know? Like they would probably do something if I didn't exist, but it would probably be something a little bit different. You know?
Yeah. Did you know something that you said that kind of like that? I love that you said that. It's like you just gonna do things that you want to do, and you know it's gonna work out.
Yeah.
Like you have this, and I've heard this about you before, is that you have this unwavering belief in the things that you're doing.
Yeah.
And I've heard that about you when it comes to like TV shows and things that like maybe somebody says, no, that's not going to work. And then you just go, no. It's going to fucking work.
It's going to work.
And I just want to know, like, is this like a vision that you have in your head that you're just like, I know there's going to be obstacles. I'm just going to answer every obstacle. Or is it just like a faith that what you're working on is going to be so good that eventually other people are going to see what you see?
It's a really good question. I think it came from when I first like changed my life. Like I had a friend that committed suicide when I was 21 years old, and he was like one of my best friends. And when he committed suicide, I remember being like really angry with him, you know, just like, why did you do it, and why did you do it so boring and life? And I just had so many thoughts about life that were like really weird. And then I also did a lot of DMT in this period, and I remember like it was like first the suicide thing. It ended up making me think, okay, life is fragile, life is short, life is just a long suicide. So instead of me spending time and energy doing something I don't want to do, I rather just do what I do and take the consequences of it, you know? And then I had this other thing that I brought from finance that was risk and reward goes hand in hand. You cannot have like high reward without taking high risks. It's impossible. It's impossible. Okay. And you cannot like take low risk and have a high reward. It goes hand in hand. The higher the risk, the higher the potential reward, and the higher the potential fall.
Yeah.
Correct? And then the last thing I had this profound, deep thing when I was on DMT that it was so weird because I did a DMT trip when I was super depressed. My friend died. My girl left me. I was broke. I had debt to my neck. I was the most skinny I've ever been. I was not looking good. My parents were kind of like disappointed with me. I didn't have a contact with my friends. It was like I was in a dark place, you know. And then I met this guy, and we did, and he had DMT, and I really wanted to try DMT, and we smoked DMT, and I did it like proper Terence McKenna style.
Yeah,
heroic
doses.
Yes. So I did like one big bong, one big inhalation of a bong, and then I did a second, and then I did a third. Mm-hmm. And when I did that third, I heard like this light sound, and then I was flying through colors that looked like this table. And then I came through like to a place. And when I came to this place, it was I sound so stupid right now, but I'll just keep going. Because I came to this place and I saw like a lot of entities that were like, just like filling me with love. Like they were like, we love you, we love. And I felt the love, and I felt it. And I felt this divine thing. I was like, life is not in that room. Life is so bigger. This is where I want to be, you know. So I landed back, because it just takes 5 minutes, but it feels like an eternity. So I landed in my body, came back, and I'm like, I want to go back, I want to go back, I want to go back. And then I'm like, fill the bong. And we filled the bong, and I did 3 more. I did another heroic dose. But this time what happened was I did not
pop through.
Get through.
No.
But I felt like I stopped right before I came through.
Yeah.
And then I had like voices in my head that were my own voice, but it felt like it was someone else's voice that was like, what the fuck are you doing with your life? You have this golden opportunity. We gave you fucking a healthy body. We gave you a quick mind. We gave you a life in Norway, in Oslo in 2013. And you're just spending it like depressed, doing drugs and fucking you. Come on, why are you trying to come here when you have this? Also, you will get here, but you only get that opportunity once. So you have to like cherish that opportunity. So it was like such a weird thing. So when I came back, and I took a couple of days after that, when all these things were combined, my life changed, dude. Because I was like, I would just do my thing. I would work hard. I would follow my intuition, and I'll just like believe in that something good would happen. And I just done that ever since.
Wow. Yeah. I had no idea. No. So you basically got a message from the spirit realm.
I feel like I did. And I feel like that message has ended up like being a part of my intuition.
It's guiding you.
Yeah, it's in my intuition. Like I can get an opportunity presented. Like I remember I was getting offered a contract in the beginning of my career. And I had this bad feeling about it. I just didn't do it.
Are you talking about at maybe Latte?
Yes.
Where they wanted to lock you in?
Yes.
I read about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I did not do it. And I was like, the first like month, I was just regretting it because I lost my income. I was like, fuck, I don't have money. But then because I put myself in that position, I ended up working in a different manner.
Yeah.
And that ended up giving me a television show, Kongen av Gulset.
Yeah.
So the intuition has not just it also guided me like when I was doing as a stockbroker. Like it guided me into stockbroking. But as soon as I discovered stand-up comedy, my intuition was just too strong to like not do that. So when I got an ultimatum to like choose between comedy and finances, I chose comedy because my intuition was like no. And I had like almost $1 million a year in finance.
That's good money.
Yeah, and I sacrificed that for literally nothing.
Wow.
I had some gigs planned for the next week, but I was making like 1,000 kroner per gig.
Yeah, because one of the kind of challenges that people have is to trust their instinct or to trust their logic. And the logic doesn't say quit the $1 million a year to do stand-up.
No.
But the intuition does.
Yes.
And I feel like you were kind of, I don't know, brave enough or trusting enough to just say, okay, turn off that part. Yeah. Let's go with the instinct.
And I think also that I'm not scared of it not working out. Because I feel like a lot of people are scared of things now. Like I said, when I was at my most depressed, when I had like nothing but like hundreds of thousands in debt, when I had nothing, I always had food, I always had weed, and I always had access to someone who loved me.
Wow.
You know? So And I remember like, oh, is this the worst case scenario? Like this, I am in the bottom of the food chain right now. I don't have an apartment. But I have access to weed, food, and people who love me. Wow. And I don't need nothing else than that, you know?
Dude, that's crazy. So you went from, I had no idea about this, by the way. So you went from this part of your life, where you were at like the bottom of everything, just lost your friends, super depressed, smoke DMT, get this kind of divine message, start trusting in yourself, and now you're Jonis Josef.
You could probably say it like that.
Like to simplify it. To simplify it. Damn.
That's a cool thing, yeah?
I'll tell you why that's a cool thing. It's a cool thing for many reasons, but it's a really cool thing because so many people find themselves in a place of despair. So many people think like it doesn't get worse than this, but there's always a way that you can turn it around. And I love fucking hearing that you did that. I love hearing it.
But I feel like, if we are in a point of despair, like it's also like really inspiring because it means like, oh, so you're at the bottom right now, which means like if you do 10 push-ups today, your life is already better than yesterday. Like,
it doesn't take much.
It's so easy to have like a day that was better than yesterday. If we legit are like in that position where everything is fucked up. And some things you cannot control, like tragedy, like losing people, and those things are a part of life. But I feel like if you spend your if you don't like take this opportunity for what it is, like I have missed, like I wanted to be a footballer when I was younger. I really wanted to be a footballer. And when you know, like when you're 17 and you know I cannot play football in the big stage, you get a little bit sad, but it's okay, it's life, you know. And you have this thing about like the older I become, the more regrets I have, because I don't have regrets, but I'm like, shit, I can never become an astronaut now. You know, I can never be a neurologist now, you know, and like I had started 10 years ago to become that. So it's some things that I legit cannot be, you know, but there are a lot of things that I still can be. And the only thing that like stops you from being those things are you know, and that's I think that's super inspiring, like to know that, okay, and it's also like what you need, like if your needs are like, because I never needed a lot of money. I never needed a lot of, like, I need full house of comedy. Like my best year in stand-up comedy was the first 4 years. So for me, it's like I don't need that much, which means like I remember like success, like I had this perimeter for success, which was I just want to be able to pay the rent with comedy. Like everything else is a bonus, but I just wanted to pay the rent with comedy. And if I'm not paying the rent with comedy, I have to work hard, because then I'll probably have to find something else to do, but I really want to pay my rent with comedy. But even that, to pay the rent with comedy, even that is a blessing. It's a privilege.
It's a dream.
It's a dream, just like to pay the rent. But if you stop and you don't like take that in, you end up like paying your rent with comedy. You're like, I want to do this, and I want to do this, and you look at this guy and he's filling out Spectrum, and like, how can I do Spectrum? And you're doing well, but you're not happy because you're always comparing with other people that are doing better, quote unquote, or
I you know, there's that quote, comparison is the thief of joy. And I feel like that's something that like you got to really catch yourself on, because like understanding that you're just walking in the path and doing it is enough. You know, like I did this show last night at Salt, and like I was just happy to be there, man. I was just fucking, I'm happy to be here doing the thing that I love.
But that's again, that's one of the things I respect about you, and that's why I told you yesterday and told you today, is that when you have a love for comedy, it's like it's enough almost. You know, it's like it's so weird, because when I talked to some young comedians, and they're like, I'm gonna take over the game. I'm gonna take over the game. It's like, who are you like competing, taking over the game? Like such a high list. List. I've been doing this for 9 years, and I don't even want to take over the game. No, I just want to be as good as I can be. You have to simplify it, you know? Like you have to be like, why do I enjoy doing stand-up?
Yeah.
And I enjoy doing stand-up because it's such a beautiful transaction.
Yeah.
Because I used to do stockbroking, So the way I earned money was I took your money and I moved it, and I moved it, and I moved it, and I took like commission from every movement. And I remember like if they earned money or if they lost money, it did not matter to me because it was like, the transaction is done.
Yeah.
And I remember being like jealous of like entrepreneurs and chefs and people that were building things. Like, oh, this guy is building a house right now.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy is creating this beautiful dish. They're actually creating something.
Bringing something to life.
Yes. And I am giving them my hard-earned money because I enjoy that specific thing.
Yeah.
And that's like a good transaction. And so many things in life are like bad transactions. And I wanted to have good transactions with my main source of income.
That's good. You got like transactional value.
Yes.
Good transactional karma.
And I remember like doing transactional karma. That's what I would love to call it.
Yeah.
Because I would like, and I remember like doing a show at Josefines, and I did a good show. And when I was done, this woman came to me and she's like, "Thank you. I've been in such a shit place. I needed a laugh. Thank you."
Yeah.
And then
it's crazy.
I just started thinking like, she paid money.
Yeah.
And I was like performing in front of her.
Yeah.
And she told me thank you.
Yeah.
And it actually meant something for her.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to change your life, but sometimes it's like all someone needs is like, I just need 5 minutes break, man, from this fucking bullshit.
Man, the thing is, like, and I don't feel like I properly understand this yet, but like laughter is medicine. Like laughter is therapy and the escape. And like, I feel like people need fantasy. And when they come to a stand-up show, you're like, all right, all the rules of reality, you got to turn them all off. We're going on a ride. This is like a fucking IMAX experience going on inside your head.
Yeah.
It's almost like a combination of a movie and somebody reading to you when you're a little kid.
Yeah.
And you go, I'm seeing it in my head as you're saying it.
Yeah.
And it's fucking awesome. Thank you for making me not think about the mortgage or the kids that are complaining.
And think about the aspect of it too. Like we live in this society right now where everybody's like on their phone, where everybody's like doing social media. Like people are not like as connected as they used to be. And sitting in a room with like 100 strangers and they are laughing at the same thing it means like we understand each other.
Yeah.
And we understood this and we react the same way to this. Therefore, I am more connected with you. That was like one of the main things with Hangover. It was like, I remember this girl told me, she's like, the weird thing is like every time I left Hangover, it felt like I was friends with the room. That I was becoming friends with everyone around me.
Yeah.
And that is like, she was like a really fan though, but I kind of like really appreciate that comment because it's like, because I feel it too. When I have a really good show and I talk to some people, I'm not talking to you to be like, oh, you're ugly or you're fat, or I want to talk to you so you can laugh at you with you. And you can laugh at me with you, and we can laugh at him, and we can laugh at each other, and we can be friends. Like if you have a group of friends, you make fun of each other and have like fun. Oh, this guy's such an idiot. You know what he did yesterday? Stop it. You have that feeling,
Yeah.
And it creates a community, creates like connections.
It does. It really creates like a one-night community that exists just then and there in that moment.
Yeah.
And it's like people are connected. Krukos said this in a way that blew my mind. He said the audience is one person. He said that and I was like, oh shit. And in a way, like they all sync up,
You have to sync them up. I agree with that.
Gotta sync them up.
Yeah. And there was this thing I remember, like one of my favorite inspirational things ever was Gerard Carmichael. He's my favorite comedian. And he said the thing where it's like, he came to this comedy club somewhere in America. And the host came out and was like, oh yeah, by the way, before you go up, this is a conservative audience, so you should not probably do this, and you should probably do this. And then he looked at the host and he's like, but these people have never been an audience together before. We don't know what type of audience they are. Like, we know what type of city these are.
You got to uncover the audience.
Yes.
The personality.
Let them be who they want to be. Let them become something. Don't give them a label before you begin the show. You know?
Yeah, you got to discover who they are. Yeah. Wow, that's such fucking deep wisdom, man.
It is.
Holy shit.
It is. And that's when you see the difference between, like, as I call it, like loving crowd work.
Yeah.
And just crowd work for content. Yeah. Loving crowd work is basically like, who are you guys? What brought you here? Also nice to see you guys here. Oh, we're a room.
Yeah.
Well, because someone sees that quick interaction and things like, and forget about the love aspect, forget about the connection aspect sometimes. Yeah. But
I love that you keep talking about love, man, because I really feel it from you. And before we even had this conversation, I picked up on those vibes. And I mean, I can't help but thinking, I'm sure a lot of it's your personality, but it feels like so much of it got influenced by the DMT. Mm-hmm. And I've done my fair share of ayahuasca trips as well. Like, I've gone to the other side, you know what I mean? And then, like, you bring something back with you that stays with you because you realize that there is another level and that level is pure love. And what you kind of want to do is you want to be an ambassador for love.
Yes, sir.
And all the stuff that you do, you just want to, like, spread that. You just want to go, this love exists. And I'm going to try to broadcast it, whether it's through a show, whether it's through your comedy, whether it's through Uniting the Room, whether it's through podcasts. And I fucking love that you do that.
And I agree with that because it sounds like such a cliche, dude, talking about like love is the answer. Love is the way. But one of the conclusions I had after the DMT was that it's either love or fear, you know? And so it's not love or hate, because hate is a type of love. I'd say, you know, like if I really love you and you hurt me and I hate you, like that's so close to each other, love and hate. But fear is the straight opposite. And I feel like in every aspect of my life, when you have like two choices presented for you, it's like they're fear-based or they're love-based, you know? Let's say, for instance, when I do comedy and I want to do comedy and I get the ultimatum, do you want to do finance or do you want to do this? It's like, I can do finance, but if I choose finance, it's because I'm scared of what will happen if I don't do finance. Yeah. But if I do comedy, I do it because I love comedy. You know?
So move in the direction of love.
Yes, that's a good compass to have, I'd say.
Wow. Yeah. Course, you're right, because people would normally like think that the opposite of love is hate, but if the opposite of love is fear and you're presented with a choice and one of them is like something that you love and one of them is like, oh, I'm scared of this, that should be your indicator for which direction to move in.
And it's like and fear is such a strong emotion too. It's such a strong emotion, fear, because it tells you, like, I remember when I was quitting in the job in finance, my fear is like, okay, I have this career going on. I have finally get money. I finally have an opportunity to pay my debt. And then I'm like, okay, but if I do this, I am going to die either way, you know? So I can like pay the bills and pay it, or I can just try to do something that I will enjoy. And if it works out, it works out. But if it does not work out, the worst thing that can happen is I still have weed, I still have food, and I still have people who loves me.
Dude, you have one more person that loves you too. I love you, brother. I love you too, my friend. I love you. Listen, I want to say thank you for being a guest, and I want to say, like, thank you so much for sharing with me your kind of like journey and your philosophy. Because if there's one type of person that I kind of constantly find myself being, and I know a lot of other people feel like this as well, it's somebody that has a choice to make, and it feels like it's a brave choice, and it often does involve like, can I be a full-time comedian? Can I be a full-time podcaster? Can I do what I really love? Or do I need to do this other stuff here? Oh, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that. But I think by what you've kind of like just told me, which I feel like I kind of knew, but just hearing it from you, is like, now you have like the perfect decision-making tool to make decisions by, and you fucking did it. You're talking from experience. Woo! Podcast over, ladies and gentlemen.
Podcaster. Thank you so much, Inia. You're a wonderful dude.
Thanks a lot, brother.
Thank you a lot.
All right, see you, everybody. Bye. Mwah.